interest in various activities that it has managed to attach itself with to the tobacco industry. So in our findings, some of the things that we noticed is the unhealthy interaction between government officials and even state environment and the tobacco industry. As Bode has mentioned, mostly in the agricultural sector where the tobacco industry is pushing its corporate social responsibility in a way to seem like it is really responsible, but the idea is to actually catch the attention of young persons, because there is no how you partner with the government in pushing agricultural activities or so-called corporate social responsibility that you don't get the attention of people who want to know more about what the industry is about. For instance, if BATN is sponsoring an event for young persons and it is socially responsible event in quotes, young persons want to know who exactly is BATN, what do they do, and in knowing that kind of thing, they also want to look at the products that BATN produces and what it does. For instance, if you look at these days, I go around and I look at the back of many people's phone, their phone pouch, and you can see Backwood. Backwood is a very popular phone pouch. But Backwood is actually a tobacco industry that manufactures tobacco, cigarettes, and the rest of them. But that pouch found its way at a corporate social responsibility function, and these were a part of the things that were distributed. So you look at Backwood, you want to know who is Backwood, what do they do? And these are in violation with the National Tobacco Control Act and even its regulation. For instance, I'll quote from Section 18A of the National Tobacco Control Regulations 2019 that expressly asks public authorities to not accept, support, or endorse partnerships or any monetary or even non-monetary assistance from the tobacco industry, except it is a legal settlement. That's when the government ought to associate with the tobacco industry, say it has a legal case with the industry and is receiving settlement from the industry. But the case is different today. You see public officials at a tobacco event. You see public officials and state officials lauding the tobacco industry for carrying out so-called social responsibility. So in that way, like Bode has mentioned, it gives legitimacy to the activities of the tobacco industry, and it's also like a sleuth move by the industry to entrench itself in the mind of persons. So like we said, the tobacco industry is partnering with the government to push itself in the minds of people, and it's also using media platforms, especially social media, to also push information about its activities. So you go online, you go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you're seeing them there all over the place, pushing what they are doing, and in that sense, putting themselves in the minds of people. We also discovered that the weak enforcement of preventive measures, including ambiguities in national tobacco control legislation, is also helping these guys run amok in the market. So, for instance, the ambiguity in the law, I'm going to quote in the National Tobacco Control Act. There's a part in the act that states that the tobacco industry must submit annual reports on its products and activities to the minister. But then it put that the tobacco industry must submit its annual reports to the minister. But there's also a clause. The minister may or not disclose whether these reports have been submitted to it. So there is no way public health advocates or even tobacco control activists can even follow up to know if there is compliance happening. Are these guys really submitting? Is the minister really following up? Because it's at the minister's discretion to release that information to the public. So that's what we say about the ambiguities in the law and the gaps in the law. It's not like we don't have laws to control the activities of the tobacco industry, but inside those laws are also gaps that they are manipulating to continue to do as they like in the space. Also, the tobacco industry's continued participation in policy development in Nigeria, and even as it enjoys invitations from government interagency bodies, Bode has mentioned the Standards Organization of Nigeria, how it invites the tobacco industry regularly to be part of meetings, public health policy meetings that will shape the outcomes of how people's health in Nigeria are protected. So this is very dangerous. And there is also something which was mentioned earlier about the latest wave of alternative tobacco products in the market. We have been winning the war against tobacco products, saying yes, it's not good, and we're happy to announce that this war has been gaining traction, and more and more people realize the harm of tobacco on their bodies. But now the industry knows that it's losing market, and so it has come up with all these different alternatives, calling it non-combustible. Oh, this is safer, not as dangerous as tobacco. You could vape, you could snooze, you could, these ones, you don't need to smoke them. You can just eat them, drink them, finish. So, but the point, as has been mentioned earlier on the table, is it not ironic that we have to choose between two dangerous products? Why do we have to choose at all between these products? Why do you say this one kills you faster, but this one will kill you slowly? It's ridiculous. I say that tobacco is the only lethal product in this world that still receives legitimacy in that form. You know it can kill. And I'm just going to also quote an incident that happened last week. I think I read a senior official of it's GN Tobacco with their official headquarters in Sweden. They visited the Standards Organization of Nigeria's office, and at that office they were discussing with the DG about their alternative products. And this is what a senior official, Mr. Maxfield of that corporation said. He said, in marketing snus to the DG, he said, snus is not burned and no smoke is inhaled. Hence, some terrible effects of smoking are not present. Is that not funny? You are marketing to somebody, a senior official in something that is supposedly a public health space in Nigeria, and you are telling them that your alternative is not as dangerous as your former product. So your former product can kill, but this one would not kill you slowly. And this is a product that, as we speak to you, guidelines are being developed at the apex level to endorse this product in the market for Nigerians. So the interference is so much. It's so much. Everywhere you go, it's there, and it's a raging battle. So this is the much we found, and as you're going to read the report, there are several instances that you will see. And there's also the issue of non-disclosure that happens in top government cycles, where there are meetings held with the tobacco industry that we're not privy to. We don't know what these guys are saying. They're just in the room discussing with people who are supposed to be our representatives, trying to craft public health policies in the way that suits them, not the way that will be of benefit to the people. So there's a problem. There's a problem, and we need to get ahead of the problem. And so we have offered recommendations in the report of how these problems can be addressed and these challenges can be solved. We have said that the Nigerian tobacco control legislation needs to be reviewed to close those gaps through which the tobacco industry exploits to push its activities further in the minds of people. For instance, advertising, sponsorship, and promotion of tobacco products in any way is completely banned according to the tobacco control legislation of Nigeria. But then, even inside the legislation, it is said that, well, even when we ban the advertising, promotion, and sponsorship of tobacco products, we do not consider their corporate social responsibility as part of those things that should be banned. Their corporate social responsibility is legal. It's okay. So, is there any way that the tobacco industry can carry out its corporate social responsibility without advertising, even if it is not doing that directly? Is there any way? No. If it carries out the social responsibility, it is directly or indirectly marketing itself. But these are the challenges, these are the problems. So that's why we say that the law is there, but the law needs enforcement. It needs to also be reviewed to make sure that those gaps that are exploited by the industry is plugged, and we push further in our advocacy for strong public health regulation. So we have also advised that public officials in relevant ministries, departments, and agencies learn to sign conflict of interest forms periodically to remind them of their responsibility and what they owe Nigerians. So when you sign your conflict of interest regularly, you know that at each point you're having a meeting with the industry or you're having a conversation, you know that there's a legal document that prevents you from acting in the interest against the interest of Nigerians. So we have also asked that they can start this by updating their websites with relevant information of their engagement with the tobacco industry. The website is supposed to be a public space where Nigerians are to get ahead with whatever is happening in the country, especially as it relates to public health policies and engagements. If they don't have enough information, we do not know what is happening, and we can't tell when we need to guard up or stand at alert.